What is good, YouTube? And today we are talking about Liliam's banner a week before it ends, and basically after her buffs, if she is worth going for. Now, before the buffs to her happened, a lot of people were on the fence of pulling for her or not, mostly not wanting to pull her because she was pretty mid in PvE. But after the buffs, you're going to see that she might be a very good character to pull for, and she's going to be definitely good for PvP as well. Now, basically the way that she works is she has this super strong S3 nuke. It gives you attack buff and speed buff as well, which will make it so that you are not reliant on other buffers to help you. And you'll see that it does 550% damage now, up from 500. And basically, if the target's health is above 60%, you do an extra 50% damage. And you'll also see in the last sentence, when the target is a boss, you do an extra 50% on top of that. So this is basically the PvE nuking ability. It's the hardest hitting single target nuke right now. And in PvP, it's also amazing because even though this hits pretty hard in PvP, the biggest thing is this HP seal to deal with those pesky bruisers. So you can kind of cut down their max HP to make them a little bit lower enough to actually, one shot and take out. Then we have our S2. This is an execute ability. For every 1% HP the target loses, you do extra damage. And if you hit something with less than 70%, you're guaranteed to stun. And if you kill an enemy, everything around it gets stunned. And yeah, it's pretty strong, very good in PvP, right? You can control with it, you can execute with it. Just pretty much does everything against lower health targets that will pretty much cripple them. Just very strong in PvP. And in PvE, you're going to see that this does a significant amount of damage on bosses. This doesn't do as much as the S3 because this S3 is just like overtuned to the point of, craziness, but the S2 still does a significant chunk of the boss's damage here, so it will be like an S3 into S2 combo in PvE content, and you're going to end up pretty much one-shotting or almost one-shotting most bosses. And then we have our S1, it's a single target hit. It will give you some HP back equal to the damage you deal, so if you S1 into a defense down target, you just pretty much full heal in PvE. And the passive is super strong, right? You're going to be immune to control and turn meter effects. This is going to completely counter a playstyle in PvP, which makes her insanely good. And in PvE content, it actually has a pretty good niche. And by niche, I mean like you're not going to bring her because of this, but you will see that it is very effective against some bosses, such as Teramaton, Rengokutsu, and Sharon and stuff like that. A lot of bosses in this game actually have like random turn meter pushbacks, which makes her very good. So overall, for PvE, she is like one of the best characters in the game. I'd say she's top 3 in the meta for PvE. And in PvP, she's also extremely strong, top 3 I'd say as well, because she completely shuts down a playstyle in Control and CC. And she really dictates the draft right now because of it. And she also is pretty much future-proof because, anything with this passive is going to be good. Anytime a new Control or turn meter unit is released, that's even like super strong, she's just going to be the best answer to it because of how good her passive is, obviously against control and turn meter. So definitely a future-proof unit for PvP, which is like her late game investment basically. And in PvE, you're going to see that she is crazy, crazy good. So if we actually look at shell bosses, let's look at every shell boss's rankings. You're going to see that she is in a ton of one-shot comps, even like these, 3-man team comps, right? And that's mostly because of her damage on her S3, basically allowing her to turn the boss from very like tanky to very squishy. She does so much damage. She also, is in Sharon one-shot comps, right? She's in the rankings for all of them. She's also going to be in Shadow Flame Hoyan. She's also going to be in Rengokutsu. So you kind of get what I'm saying. And it's not limited to just shells if you're wondering about that. You're also going to see that she is in Teramaton as well in the top clears right now. And even for Aurora. The only spot you're not going to use her is Doki Doki because she doesn't have any AoE. So similar to Dieting, you're not going to be able to use her in these areas. But for PvE content, like even outside of like farming, she is the best single target DPS. And you might be thinking, oh, what if I have Dieting? What if I have Yeli? Yes, if you can get through PvE, you probably won't need her for PvE content, right? Because Yeli and Dieting can carry you through that by themselves. But Liliam is just way better at efficient speed farming without any RNG in terms of Yeli's, passive. And also, you can just pair them together with Liliam. You can run Yeli, Liliam in like Aurora one-shot or any other one-shot, Dieting Liliam in like one-shots as well. And it makes the runs a lot easier to build. Now, I'm going to be honest, ever since I pulled Liliam for PvE like content, I don't really use anyone else. I use Liliam pretty much everywhere in PvE now as a single target DPS in terms of farming because her damage is just that good. And the best part about her is that you do not need to bring an attack buff or a speed buff. So any team you're bringing Valerian, like in Aurora, if you're bringing Valerian for your team, you're mostly bringing her, one, because she has that really good shield, but mostly because of the attack buff she applies on your DPS to speed up the runs. Liliam just has this for herself, so you don't really need it. And it's pretty much going to be up like 100% of the time, because the attack and speed buff is for 2 turns after the turn that you S3. So it's 100% uptime. So you're basically able to, take out your attack buffing spot for another healer or sustain, which makes her very good. And things like Yelly really need attack buffs. You need to bring an attack buffer with her, otherwise she doesn't do a lot of damage because she relies on Revelation. Now, of course, she also has defense down, but you're not really building effect accuracy, so it's not really reliant. So in terms of stability, stable, fast runs, and just overall usefulness, I think Liliam is the best DPS for PvE, except for like AoE stuff like Doki Doki, obviously. So, I think for PvE content, in terms of the top 3 SSRs, I think she's definitely in there. And for PvP as well, because of her passive and because of how she dictates the draft completely, she's definitely going to be top 3 there as well. She's just super strong in every playstyle. You can play her in Cleave, you can play her in Control, and you can play her in Bruiser. So you can play her in every single playstyle because Bruiser, obviously her kit is just really good for it with her HP seal and her lifesteal and stuff like that. In Control, she has the stun, which is very good. She also softens up bruisers for your Control team to like get them low. Then she executes and then stuns everyone. And in Cleave, it's kind of the same thing as Control. I think Cleave and Control are kind of like similar now. You kind of want to draft like a hybrid of both. But yeah, definitely a top tier character. I think she's one of the best in the game and definitely worth going for. Even if you have Diting and Yelly, for PvP, she's just so good. So in the future, like I don't think she can ever really be power crept because of how good her passive is, unless there's a character in the game. And I know you're gonna say, oh, Celine disables passives. If I can find her with her forgetfulness, yes, but like it's a debuff, so this can get cleansed off. But I was thinking like if there's a character in the game with a passive that disables passives, then she might get power crept. But then again, like that character would be like the most god tier broken character ever. So yeah, but she's a very powerful character. So I'll just show you very quickly how nuts her damage is actually on bosses. This is Teramaton. Honestly, this is like actually pretty hard in terms of thresholds because you need to speed tune perfectly and have like a very good setup. Whereas Doki Doki and Aurora, you can kind of just slam random units. Not random, but the tuning isn't as important for regular teams. But anyways, you're gonna see that Liliam kind of just makes this boss look like a complete joke, because not only does she do a ton of damage on the opener, but you're actually going to see that when I actually buff her up here, she is pretty much just going to almost kill the boss, and then right after, my Catchy can boost again, and she's able to just kill the boss with the last S3. And I actually have another video featuring Liliam where she just kills the boss with S3 into S2. I kind of just threw this team together randomly in like 2 minutes to show you her damage potential. But you can see her damage in PvE is bonkers. So yeah, I think, she's definitely a character you want to pull for. I'd say she's pretty much a must pull. If you're wondering why my crit rate dropped, it's because I was using Dorothy the Wisher in the showcase, which gives crit rate, so don't worry about it. But basically, she's insane for PvE. She's like the best DPS right now for single target. And she also has the secondary benefit of being insane in PvP. So even if you have Yelly and Diting for PvE content, you can essentially just think of Liliam as a PvP character that you're pulling for. That is essentially future-proof because of her passive, and it's just so broken. So you definitely want to pull her even if you don't need her for PvE. But in the case that you do pull her because you don't need her for PvE and you're going to use her for PvP, you might as well then just use her in PvE to speed up your runs, So yeah. Pretty much it for this video though, guys. People were asking me all the time if she's worth pulling for. The answer is yes. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next video.